Hey everybody, welcome to Vision Possible. I'm Butch Hartman, and it is just, oh man, what a joy to be here with you guys. I'm so pleased that you're here joining us on this amazing channel. You know, I've been on YouTube for a while now with different channels, but this is the first channel I've ever done that is specifically dedicated to helping you make your daydream your day job. I know what it's like to want to do something in a certain field of interest and to not have any clue how to go about it. I mean, it's just, you kind of have to stumble and bumble your way along until maybe somebody helps you or maybe you fall into the right doorway, provided you knock on enough doors. That is one way to do things. But hopefully this channel and all the teachers on this channel, we got some amazing teachers on this channel, and I think you're going to love all the people that come on during the course of the week. We have some incredible instructors that teach different areas of success, from finance to social media and on and on and on. And I think you're going to love exactly, or love what we teach here, because it's exactly what you're looking for. So, hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So, you know what? Let's start with a little bit of who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm here because I want to help you guys achieve your goals. Now, I can't do the goal for you. I can't grab you by the hand and drag you along physically, but I can provide these videos as resources for you to draw up on, to look back on, and to maybe learn something that you didn't know. My specialty is entertainment. That's what I do. I've been in children's television animation for over 35 years at this point. I've been in the Hollywood entertainment system for over 35 years. I know a lot about how to achieve goals, how to deal with success, how to deal with a defeat, how to get around the obstacles, how to pitch a show, how to run a team, how to draw, how to write. I've got Emmy nominations in songwriting and in writing and a whole bunch of other things. My show's been nominated for Emmys. I mean, I've kind of run the gamut in Hollywood of all kinds of things, and I really know a lot, and I want to help you guys learn it too. So, without further ado, we'll start by talking about me, and then we'll get around to the goals I want to help you with. Today's session is called Getting Your Hollywood Dream Job. So, getting your Hollywood dream job. How do we go about doing that? How do you go about getting a dream job in Hollywood? Well, let me walk you through a little bit of what I've done, and you can sort of see the path I took. Your path will be different, of course, but these are some of the steps I took. So I started off as a young man in Michigan. I was born in Michigan, and in Michigan, everybody around me was in the auto industry. I come from a town very close to Detroit. Everybody was making cars or making parts of cars or something affiliated with the auto industry. I never wanted to do that. I was a nerd. I was a geek before the word nerd and geek were cool. I guess, are they cool? Anyway, but they've become cool. But I was a guy who loved comic books, and I loved cartoons. I loved Christmas specials that were animated. I loved Saturday morning cartoons. I loved movies. I loved all kinds of stuff. I loved Dungeons and Dragons. I love things like that, So I grew up loving fantasy, loving storytelling. I really finally broke it down later on in life. What I really loved was great stories. That's what I love. So in Michigan, where I'm from, there really wasn't a big industry for that. There's not a lot of entertainment that goes on in a big way in Michigan. Yeah, there's some local newscasts and there's radio stations and things like that, but there's nothing like, television stuff like I wanted to do. As a kid in Michigan back then, I would sit and watch TV for hours and hours and hours, and I would draw the cartoon characters on the TV screen. And back when I was younger, there was no way to freeze the image. There was no DVR. There was no VCR. I'm really showing my age with VCR, right? But there was no way to freeze it. So I would draw Fred Flintstone as fast as I could, or I would draw Spider-Man off the TV as fast as I could, because I just I had to get them in my memory bank so I could draw them in the future. So I started drawing as a very little kid, a very young little kid. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I realized that by drawing and drawing well, I could get attention from adults. And I kind of stumbled into it. I drew a picture one day, and all these adults around me were raving about it, and I thought, wow, if I draw again, the adults will give me more attention. So that's kind of where I started. And then I went from doing that to growing up and wanting to become an artist, because I just really loved it. I loved drawing books, comic books of my own. I loved drawing my own cartoons. Back then, we didn't have the internet. There was no way to really even make my own cartoon or my own shows or anything. So I'd get movie cameras. We'd make movies with my brothers and my cousins. We'd make live action movies and things. And so I really was trying to find ways to make entertainment even back then when I was younger. And I heard about this magical school in Valencia, California called CalArts. It was called CalArts. And I knew back when I was in high school in 10th grade that I wanted to go to this school called CalArts. And so I thought, how do I get to CalArts? How am I going to do that? And at the time, I actually had two friends that were older than me that were living in Michigan. We went to different schools though, but they were friends of mine. We were nerds together. We were drawing cartoons all the time. And they were going to go to this school called CalArts too. They were going to go there, but they were going to be going there a couple of years ahead of me because they were older than me. So one guy went and he was a senior. I was a sophomore. My other friend was a junior. Friend number one went. Friend number two went the next year. Then I went the third year. But before I even got to go, I had to submit my portfolio. So how was I going to do that? What kind of portfolio would get me into a fancy art school like that? And I want to stop here in this part of the story because I want you to see where I was at that point. I was a young man, wanted to get to California. No one in my family had ever been to California before, much less lived there or worked there. How was I going to do that? How was I going to break that mindset that I'd grown up in? You know what I mean? Not that I grew up around bad people. I just grew up around people that never wanted to go to California. So how am I going to do this? I had to get out of my comfort zone. Are you in a comfort zone right now? That's my question. Are you living in a comfort zone you're so used to and you're terrified to break out of it? Is that somewhere where you are right now? Just let me know. I want to know if you're ready to break out of your comfort zone, and if so, are you ready to do it now? Are you a young person ready to go? Are you an older person who's been in the comfort zone for so long you have no idea even how to get out of the comfort zone? We'll talk about that in a minute. But I decided to get out of my comfort zone, and I was just a young, ambitious kid. I wanted to go to California, so I started working on my portfolio. And I knew that the CalArts folks, that to get into the Disney animation program at CalArts at the time, because that's what I wanted to be, was a Disney animator. I knew to get into that program, I had to be top-notch art-wise. I had to get better than I ever was before, so I had to start training. It's almost like a Rocky Balboa thing. Instead of doing it physically, I had to do it artistically. They wanted to see a lot of life drawing. What is life drawing? It's where you actually look at a real person or a real dog or a real cat and you draw them. And you get like real good knowledge of the world around you by doing that. And so I thought, what a great place to go do that would be, a great place to go do that would be the zoo. You know, I'm going to go to the Detroit Zoo and draw all the exotic animals in the zoo. Well, the thing about Detroit is when it's winter and it's freezing there, the zoo is free. You can just walk right in the zoo. So I would be in my big winter coat, taking my sketch pad out there and drawing the tigers and the lions and the penguins and the gorillas and all that stuff because I wanted to go to California. Let me ask you this. Are you willing to go out in the snow with a sketch pad in front of a tiger and sketch in order to achieve your goal? Are you at that level? Are you so committed to your goal? I was just committed at that point. I was a committed guy. You might be committed in a different way. But what about you shows you that you're committed? And if you're not committed, how do you get committed? We'll talk about that too. So anyway, I'm doing my drawings. I'm getting my portfolio ready, and I decide to send it off to CalArts, and let's see if they accept it. Well, I sent my portfolio in, and I'll never forget the day. I went down to my mailbox, and I got my letter from CalArts, and I said I was accepted. I got accepted. I had my friends at CalArts who were already there, the guys who left before me. I would send them my drawings from the zoo and other drawings. I'd send them through the mail, the snail mail at the time. That's all we had. There was no internet. I would send those drawings in the mail. My friends would critique the drawings, and they'd send them back to me. So I kind of had my own little set of resources already at the school doing kind of reconnaissance intel for me, telling me what the school was looking for. And so if you want to achieve a goal, you need to get some resources. And I just want to ask you, do you have those resources? And if you don't, that's okay. But you can find them. You need to be committed in finding them. And you need to be so focused on your goal that you will make those resources if possible. So anyway, my friends helped me get into that school. I got in. I went to CalArts for 3 years. I couldn't afford my 4th year. And I thought, well, I want to get a job in the animation industry. Now is the best time to try. I don't want to go back to Michigan. My goal was to stay in California. So I'm going to stay here and sink or swim, I'm going to keep a job out here. So I got my guts going there. I got all excited, and I went out and I got my portfolio, a new portfolio now. Now I'm about 21 years old. I've been in the animation school for 3 years. And by the way, when I got to the animation school, I have to tell you, when I got there, I thought I was a good artist. But when I got into animation school, I realized I wasn't a good artist at all. These other people that I was with, all these other men and women who came from all parts of the world, they were just incredible. Just incredible. You think that's a little bit intimidating? Yeah, it's very intimidating. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you are thinking you're something, you're thinking you're this level, then you realize you're at this level? Let me ask you this. Are you going to run away screaming, turn around and go, I give up, I have to go, I can't do this? Or are you going to suck it up, get a determined face on, and decide you're going to achieve that goal anyway? Well, I would hope you'd want to achieve the goal, because that's what we're here for on Vision Possible. We want to help you make your daydream your day job. And so, and I ask people this all the time. What do you do every day? What do you do every day that no one has to pay you to do? You just do it all day long, you love it. What do you do? That's what you should do for a living. That's what you should do, because that's what you love to do, right? So if you're not doing what you love to do for a living, let's figure out a way to get you to that point. Again, the title of this episode is Getting Your Hollywood Dream Job, your entertainment dream job, getting your entertainment dream job. So how do we get your entertainment dream job? Let's keep going. So I was in school, and I decided I'm going to go, I left school after 3 years. I'm going to go get a job in animation. I finally got a job. On my first couple of tries, I actually was good enough to get a job at Marvel Productions, and I got this job. Marvel, Marvel, the comic book company, they had an animation studio out here in California in the San Fernando Valley. They were making TV shows at the time. I got hired at Marvel. It was so cool. And I thought, you know what? This is going to be great. I get to draw Spider-Man and Captain America and the Hulk and the X-Men. It's going to be so great. My first job was on a show called My Little Pony. I got a job on My Little Pony. And I was hired to do one thing. I was hired to be a character designer. That's what I was very, very good at, was character designing. But my first day on the job, they said, yeah, we're going to hire you to be a character designer, but I need you to do these storyboards right now. I had never done an animation storyboard in my life for anyone but myself at the time. And I only did some very, very small storyboards for myself. I really had no professional experience doing storyboards at all. But they put me on this job. Now, what do I say? Do I say no? Or do I say, yes, I'll take the challenge? Well, I decided to take the challenge, and guess what happened? I got fired. That's right. I got fired off the job because I didn't know how to do storyboards. I certainly didn't know how to take on the workload of a storyboard. I didn't know how to commit myself mentally to that type of work, because it was a much bigger job than being a character designer. Character designer, I could do a drawing in maybe 20 minutes. Storyboard is all day, all week. It takes multiple hours. It's a much bigger job, but it's also a much higher paying job as well. Anyway, I got fired off of that show because I couldn't do the storyboards. My skill set was not where it needed to be. Well, let me ask you, that's right, next question. Is your skill set at the level you need it to be? We'll talk about that too. So I get fired off this job. I've got my first job in animation. I've been in California for a while. I lose my job. I have no money. What do? Do I run back to my comfort zone? Do I go back to Michigan? No. I decided I'm going to fight for this. So I got my portfolio together again. I actually by this time knew a couple people that were actually in the industry, because I'd been working there in the industry for a couple months, and I knew people from school. So I started making phone calls. Do you guys know where there's a job? Is there a job? Is there a job? So I started using what's called resources. And as a visionary, you're a visionary. As a visionary, you need to know what your resources are. And if you don't have any resources, you need to find some. You need to find resources, because no one can do everything on their own. You can do a lot of things on your own. You can do a ton of things on your own. You can't do everything on your own. You especially can't get to the level you want to get to on your own. You're going to need a team around you, because the level you're trying to get to is going to require a team. It really is. So anyway, I ended up getting another job after that at Ruby Spiers Productions. Ruby Spiers were the guy, Joe Ruby and Ken Spiers created Scooby-Doo for Hanna-Barbera back in the 60s. They started their own animation studio. I actually watched their cartoons as a kid, and now I'm working at Ruby Spiers Productions, which was just amazing. I got that job. I worked there for about 6 years, and then I got another job at Hanna-Barbera after that. Hanna-Barbera was the cartoon studio I watched all the time growing up. I mean, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Johnny Quest, the Wacky Races, Scooby-Doo, you name the cartoon. They were on Saturday morning. Hanna-Barbera made them. Now I'm working there in the early 90s. So I worked there for a while, then Hanna-Barbera turned into Cartoon Network. And by this time, I've gotten a whole bunch of skills. I can now do character designs. I can now do storyboards. I can now do background designs. I can now do writing. I'm actually trying to train myself as a writer at this point. I hadn't been paid as a professional writer at this point, but I really wanted to become a writer. So after work every day, I would go home and I would write my own stories. No one has ever read them. No one ever will read them. But I really wanted to get to that level where I could write the story. And so I now went from a guy who could just do character designs into becoming a guy who could do all those art skills plus be a writer. Do you think my value had increased? It had increased, absolutely. And by the way, did anyone force me to do any of that? No. Who forced me to do that? I forced me to do that. I forced me. No one even asked me to do it either. It wasn't like they were going, Butch, we'll give you this job if you do all these things. No one even promised me anything, but I knew for a fact in my heart, because I'd seen it. I'd been in an environment where I'd seen it. I saw that by doing these things and by making an effort and by making people's lives easier, you become a more valued commodity. You become a more valued asset, and they will pay you more and they will give you more opportunity. By the way, another thing about atmosphere, I went to CalArts. When I went to that school, the art school, the atmosphere around me was so creative. I was in a room with superstars of animation who are still running the industry to this day. If I told you some of the people I went to school with, you wouldn't believe it. They're just the most talented people in the world. But that atmosphere pumped me up like you can't believe. It made me go from, I was saying like a thermometer. You go from here and it goes whoop to the top and explodes. And my creativity went through the roof. It was so exciting because the atmosphere was exciting. And plus, when I worked in all these animation studios, the atmosphere was super exciting as well. So don't forget to put yourself in environments that enhance your creativity, not diminish it, enhance. And by the way, even though the country's been in lockdown for the last year, doesn't mean you got to be on lockdown in here or in here, right? You might not be able to go different places, but there's ways to create an atmosphere around you that's creative, that's fun, and that's uplifting, okay? You want to keep it that way. So, real quick, I'm condensing this story so much, there's so much to tell, but I worked at Hanna-Barbera for a while, and then they offered us there, the people at Hanna-Barbera were taken over by new management. Cartoon Network came in and made Hanna-Barbera into Cartoon Network. They said, hey, we're going to offer everybody here a chance to pitch and sell their own show. We'd love to see what you have. Now, what do you do in a situation like that? Do you say, oh, no, I'm fine over here. I've been doing this for a while. I'm in my comfort zone, right? You don't want to be in the comfort zone. I had created a new comfort zone, but I want to get out of that comfort zone too. I now want to go from worker bee to the boss. I want to start creating my own show now, right? So am I taking another jump now? Am I taking another leap toward a goal that I want? Yes, I am. And you can too. You absolutely can. But you got to have a clear vision what you want. You have to have a clear vision of what you want. Because when the vision is clear, results will appear. I want you to write that down. When the vision is clear, results will appear. And if you don't have a clear vision, you're not going to have anything appear. So get your vision clear. Anyway, after that, I started selling short cartoons at Hanna-Barbera. I sold 3 or 4 of them. The first couple weren't that great, but they got better as I went. And by the way, when you sell your own cartoon, you're now the boss. You got to be in charge of the character designs and the writing and the voices and the backgrounds and the color styling. There's a million pieces you have to pay attention to. And didn't really know it at the time. I look back now. I was put in an atmosphere where I was getting more and more responsibility as I went. And that leads me to this. Finally, in 1997, I had an opportunity to pitch another cartoon. It was called The Fairly Odd Parents. And it's funny, I pitched it to Cartoon Network, and they didn't want it. But then I pitched it to Nickelodeon, and they bought it. So I pitched one short cartoon to Nickelodeon, they bought it, and suddenly I was over at, I had left Hanna-Barbera, Cartoon Network, I left them, went over to Nickelodeon, and sold The Fairly Odd Parents. I made 10 short cartoons there of The Fairly Odd Parents, pretty much by myself. I had like 2 people helping me. Made 10 short cartoons. They focus tested about 6 of them. And focus testing is when they put your cartoon in front of a bunch of kids in a room and they see if they like it. And fortunately for me, they liked it. And Nickelodeon saw the potential in the show, and the rest is history. And they bought Fairly Odd Parents. And my life changed forever from that point because I got to become a boss like I always wanted. I got to become a writer like I always wanted. I got to become a character designer and a storyboard artist, and I was a voice director. I got to write my own theme songs and everything. I really took advantage of everything that was given to me, and you can too. That's just the first part of my story. There's a lot more of the story, but I want you guys to think about this. Getting your entertainment dream job. How do you get your entertainment dream job? How do you do that? I want to give you an assignment. until the next video, okay? Your assignment is this. I want you to write down everything you want to do in the entertainment industry. I don't care what it is. It could be winning an Oscar to sweeping the floor of a soundstage. I don't care what it is. Anything in between that. What do you want to do in the entertainment industry? And we're going to work on goals that are going to get you to that dream job. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be creative. It's going to be hugely memorable and super uplifting and very, very powerful for you. Getting your entertainment dream job. You've got to have goals. You've got to have resources to get to those goals. You've got to have a great environment that you put yourself in. And number one, you've got to have a clear vision, because when the vision is clear, results will appear. Okay? All right, that's it for this session. But listen up. Next time, we're going to be looking at those goals that you've written down, and we're going to see different ways we can achieve those goals and talk about what's holding you back and what can drive you forward like a rocket ship to that next goal. Okay? All right, don't forget, we want to help you make your daydream your day job. See you next time.